This just in, nothing matters anymore. That was the slogan I saw on a t-shirt at a concert this summer, and it stopped me in my tracks. Our historical moment summed up in one cheeky garment. We're weathering a time of existential despair that, to each of us, can be political or geopolitical, can be medical, emotional, personal. But if the t-shirt was right and nothing matters anymore, then why does it feel so lonely, so hard, so sad? In the face of Israelis held hostage for 719 days now, escalating war in Gaza, rising anti-Semitism here at home, hunger, bombs and rockets still flying across borders, political reprisals, polarization in our government and our universities, and even in many of our homes. It feels like we are being crushed under the weight of our worries. Despair is easy, and it's all around us. It's even within us. Hope is hard, and it can often feel out of reach. But that's a problem for us as Jews. As you know, the Israeli national anthem, Hatikva, means the hope. It is a hymn of the Jewish people. But are we still a people that can hope? We've asked this question before in other moments of disconnection and fear. Will your wonders be known in the darkness and your justice in the land of forgetfulness? Asked the writer of the Psalms. Written 3,000 years ago, in a time when the ancient kingdom of Israel was still young and vulnerable, surrounded by a combination of enemies and uneasy allies on all sides, the psalmist asked if there was reason to move forward. Buoyed by his faith, he decided there was, continuing his verse, "But I, alive, cry out." He chose to raise his voice in the face of darkness. The psalmist knew hope was not something you can just find. It's something we must actively create, especially as we stand here in a time of real danger and justified fear. In such a moment, reaching for hope may seem naive. Humans are realistically jaded by our experiences. Hopelessness is no sin. It is armor we put on to face a punishing world. Cynicism can be a way to keep ourselves safe, to offer ourselves emotional protection in a dangerous time. When American Jews and Muslims face unprecedented levels of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, it makes complete sense that we are both losing faith in the promise and protection of American society. As Israelis continue to suffer the impacts of October 7th and the ongoing war with Hamas, as Palestinians continue to suffer from the ongoing conflict, it makes sense that hope is at an all-time low, that an Israel and a Palestine can exist in safety, security, and dignity alongside one another. In the face of this reality, expressing hope can seem naive, and turning hope into action can seem impossible. But our past shows us that hope is, in fact, the way forward. Theological despair followed the Holocaust. Where was God at Auschwitz? So many of us truly believed that God had died inside those pernicious gates. But survivors came out and somehow found a way forward. For them, the question wasn't where was God at Auschwitz, but rather, who was God at Auschwitz. God was in the people retaining their humanity, in the love and the care they showed one another. While surrounded by unspeakable horror, people still chose to lift one another up. Relationship, the line of connection between two people, that was often their only source of hope. Ben Tauster, a leader in the Federation, the UJA, HIAS, and the AJC here in New York in that post-war era, saw the horrific landscape of Jewish life after World War II and urged us to look past the statistics to find the human story behind each figure. Ben Tauster knew that charting a course forward required a centering of people. He saw how hope can help us take our pain and harm and hurt and inspire us to move forward. Joe Levine was a survivor of the Holocaust. Ben met him as he was making his way forward in the world. Joe had chosen to make Aliyah to the brand new state of Israel. Joe was leaving Europe behind, having received help from HIAS, which Ben was leading. Joe gave Ben a gift as he started his new life. A Haggadah from the first Seder held after the camps were liberated. Joe's inscription thanked Ben and his wife for making it possible for our people to leave Germany and live as free men and women. This was the clearest example of pragmatic hope. This Haggadah symbolizing a new future and a new connection. The Haggadah and what it represented were so meaningful that Ben Tauster kept that gift the rest of his life, passed the Haggadah to his son, who eventually published it as a survivor's Haggadah. 75 years ago, survivors like Joe Levine gave us reason to hope. So did the establishment in 1948 of the State of Israel, with its national anthem, Hatikva. What a radical choice, to stand in the ashes of the Holocaust and choose hope as the hymn of the Jewish people. The Hebrew tikva comes from the word kav, meaning line. This suggests to me that hope is a line, a connection that can bring two disconnected points into relationship and can direct us away from despair. Despair is not a strategy, Ruth Messenger teaches us. Hope can be a strategy. It can be pragmatic. It can transform our lived experience into determination and action. Hope can be a verb when it connects the disconnected. In the Torah portions we read today and tomorrow, Isaac and Ishmael teach us this lesson. Reading their stories, we see them as men on diverging paths. Ishmael, the firstborn son, whom Abraham exiles, and Isaac, the best-loved son, whom Abraham offers as a sacrifice. Their lifelines lead them away from each other, brothers separated by circumstances, by time, and by their father. Isaac and Ishmael each experience painful, destructive, formative moments, but that's not how their stories end. After their father's death, they write a shared epilogue, a more hopeful ending. The two men reunite to bury their father. This is their first meeting since Ishmael's banishment. And rather than letting their histories keep them apart, Isaac and Ishmael choose to leave their homes, journey towards one another, and help each other say goodbye to their father. Somehow, both men can see beyond their circumstances, to envision a different future. And so they direct their diverging paths back together for this extraordinary reunion. The Isaacs and Ishmaels of today are the peace seekers, the change makers, the courageous visionaries who can see lines of connection where most of us simply see the walls and borders of separation. These courageous few who stand up in the face of despair turn hope into action, one connection at a time. This spring, I received an email. We are a coalition of Muslim women who have condemned the massacre of October 7th, who have spoken inwards and outwards about rising anti-Semitism in the Muslim world. This unexpected email introduced me to Soraya Dean. Soraya is the CEO of Muslim Women Speakers and co-chair of the International Religious Freedom Roundtable in Washington, D.C., where she lives. Soraya is one of a community of Muslim women who are standing up to anti-Semitism with their presence, their words, and their actions. Years ago, Soraya's son was the victim of Islamophobia, and their family felt alone and vulnerable until Jewish members of their community stood up and spoke out against this baseless hatred. This allyship has left Soraya changed. Following that incident, Soraya built a relationship with Jews in her community and across the country. And now she is the one standing up and speaking out, fighting against anti-Semitism. She leads workshops and helps foster new interfaith relationships, leading to permanent change in the communities she visits. Then there are Iris and Suli, who visited Central last winter. Members of Combatants for Peace, once upon a time, both supported the armed conflict between their peoples. Iris is the Israeli daughter of a Holocaust survivor and a veteran of World War II. She wholeheartedly supported her two eldest sons serving in Israel's army. She understood that they were keeping Israel safe from dangerous insurgents and suicide bombers. As time went by, Iris started hearing Palestinian perspectives from her coworkers. As she listened, this school principal began teaching her own children and audiences around the world about the other people who also called their land home. I believe most people want the same things, she says. A roof over their heads, food on the table, and a safe place to raise their children. Between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea live 14 million people. We have the capacity to create space for all of us to live together. We must, and I believe we can. Suli is a Palestinian from Jerusalem who took up stones, Molotov cocktails, and even a knife to fight against the Israeli soldiers patrolling the streets and entering Palestinian homes. He understood these soldiers as the enemy, whose only goal was to terrify and control his Palestinian friends and family. Suli was arrested and jailed for lightly wounding an Israeli soldier inside a friend's recently demolished home. It was during his incarceration that Suli began to learn more about the conflict, about Jews, and about himself. He says, I realized that these enemies were actually human beings who were also suffering. The journey of my transformation was painful, but it was also deeply spiritual. Slowly, I reconstructed my worldview. Iris and Suli have chosen to break the cycle they were in. They have put down their weapons, they have lowered their defenses, and no longer see each other as the enemy. As Combatants for Peace recently wrote, Our safety, freedom, and dignity are intertwined. We refuse to let hate define our path. We choose another way. This already difficult work is made exponentially harder in wartime. But instead of letting history and the despair of the moment divert them, these former enemies now meet, listen, and teach others how to envision a future of cooperation and promise. Never losing sight of their shared humanity, Iris and Suli and their allies choose to turn their pain into purpose, to process, to progress. Last year, my colleague Rachel at the 92nd Street Y was invited to co-facilitate a new program coordinated by the Y and the UJA. An opportunity for Black and Jewish communities to connect in ways we often don't, even as we live, sometimes uneasily, side by side. The program is part of Share Our America, dedicated to building trust and reducing polarization. Rachel was paired with Janelle, a Black leader based in Harlem, to facilitate challenging conversations between our communities over several months. Israel, anti-Semitism, racism, no tough topic was off the table. Participants reflected on personal experience and on scholarly writings, and through this hard work came away with allies and friends. As impactful as the experience has been on the participants, it affected Rachel and Janelle even more deeply. Before facilitating conversations between their communities, first, Rachel and Janelle invited each other to see the world through their eyes. Together, they have shared their own difficult truths, explored their preconceptions and prejudices, and ultimately honored each other's experience. They have both worked to understand each other's lives, including the vulnerability and fear that come from living with racism and anti-Semitism. They have helped each other become better, truer, more dedicated allies. All our communities are in crisis. We only see our own issues most of the time, Rachel reflected. But Rachel and Janelle have started dismantling the barriers between them and their communities. They're finding a new way of seeing the world, new allies to move through the world with, and they're helping other New Yorkers do the same. Soraya, Iris and Suli, Rachel and Janelle are visionaries, peace seekers, change makers. They are our Isaacs and Ishmaels, turning despair into resolve. Their work speaks to humanity's best instincts. Are they in the majority? No. But majorities don't start movements. Change begins with one person, two people, a lengthening line, a community, insisting that we won't let history or despair decide our future. We can choose to take our pain and turn it into purpose. Tikva hi pe'ula, hope is an action, says Israeli coexistence advocate Maoz Inon. So how can we turn our pain and fear into hope and action? Is it even possible? It is, if we choose to learn, to support, to connect. We can learn about an issue and the situation on the ground. We can learn about the lived experience of someone who is suffering, whether through a central program or podcast, or through other resources or connections. And we can find the inspiration to act. We can support an organization that is making a positive impact. We can support an advocacy group or an institution or an organization, one that you have connected with at Central or beyond, And with our support, we can help create real change. And we can connect with another human being. We can connect with someone we agree with or someone we don't agree with, but in sitting together and forging a real relationship, we can find the inspiration to stand up and make their world, our world, a better place. The Talmud teaches, for as long as a person lives, they can have hope. Hope may feel remote to us now, but we will continue to strive for it as long as we live, because as Jews, that is what we do. I think the t-shirt I saw at the concert this summer got it wrong. It should have said, "This just in, it all matters still." It has never been more important to care, to hope, and to act, even, especially, in times of fear and despair. Our job is to reach for tikva. It is up to us to draw the lines of connection, to lead ourselves away from despair, to do the work that points to a better future. The world is broken in so many ways. We can despair, or we can hope. We get to choose right now whether we will treat hope as a verb and act.
Ya la 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 ya la 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 Olam chesed yibane Ya la 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 ya la 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 Olam chesed yibane Ya la la this world from love. Ya la 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 ya la la la. And you must build this world from love. Ya la 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 ya la la la. And if we build this world from love, ya la 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 ya la la la. Ya la la